A minute ago now, I can't hear him.
It isn't yet. Say that, Bill. I went to the drugstore 3 times, prescriptions from my wife, and said, yeah. And I told her, I said, you know, all my life I was always told my parents stay away from drugs. Leave it alone. You get older, and you have to go. Yeah. Yeah.
I've still got a minute, but this clock says it's time, so I guess we'll start. I'd like to ask everybody to stand and start the pledge of allegiance. Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. I'd like to welcome everybody this evening to the Culver Board of Zoning and Appeals. I can remind everybody that this is being recorded. So if you don't want it to be recorded, don't say it, because it will be recorded. Okay, would you like to have roll call, Mr. Secretary?
Yes. Mr. McManaway. Mr. Melsham. Mr. Osborne.
He's not here tonight. He probably might come in late, but probably not
Okay. Mr. Adams.
here.
And J.D. Ubler is here. Mr. DeWitt.
Here.
I'm going to, well, first of all, we need to approve the November 18th minutes. I would entertain a motion to do so. Been moved that we approve the minutes. Do I hear a second? Been moved and properly second. We approve the November 18th minutes. Any discussion? All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Pass 4-0. Where are you going to sign up? Yes. Something I forgot to put on the agenda. This is the first meeting in January, so we do need to reorganize and have election of our officers. Take after you. I guess we will start with secretary. Mr. Ubler did indicate to me he would be willing to be secretary. And since he was only temporary last year, I would like to see him. Do I hear a second on that? Sounds good to me. And so been moved to second that Mr. Ubler be our secretary. Any further discussion? All those in favor? Aye.
Aye. Sorry.
Unanimous.
I guess I
President, I am willing to do it again if you wish, but if somebody else wants it, I will gladly give it to you.
I would gladly have you. I will nominate you.
I would second that nomination.
Moved and seconded that I will remain as president. Any discussion?
Other than you doing such a fantastic job. It's hard to replace you.
Thank you. All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Thank you. Vice President. Mr. McManaway is Vice President from now.
That'd be one.
Do I hear a motion?
A motion that he remains vice president.
Do I hear a second?
I'll second that motion.
Been moved to second that Mr. McManaway will stay as Vice President. Further discussion? All those in favor, signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Pass unanimously. That was easy. Now we'll move on to our first petition. And Mr. Easterday, you're going to address that. And it looks like you have a lot of stuff.
Amazingly enough, I have boards. I've never had boards in my life, but they're kind of cool. I'll start by saying I don't always get excited about projects, but I'm really excited about this project. This is a real interesting project. I think it's really cool. I'll try to explain it briefly. As you can tell from that map, this is on 20A Road, which if you go south of South Shore Drive to the first T Road, hang a right, it's out there. For we very, very old people, it's the old Marshall County Ready Mix site, what it really was. But it's 53 acres. And what I'm kind of explaining to you is not only a short-term plan, but a long-term plan. So you can kind of see where it's going. The whole thing is designed to be a private, and I emphasize the word private, park-like setting for the family of Craig, who is the patriarch of the family. And he wanted to do something for his grandchildren and his children. And so they put together this plan. We're not asking for approval on the whole thing today, but we're asking for approval on basically the barn structure, which is in the corner of the project. The barn structure would look like that. This. And this is the north elevation. So if you could see it from the road, that's what it would look like. But in all honesty, the road pretty well blocks everything. They've got quite a bit of foliage and there won't be much that will be seen from 20A Road. But that is what we're calling the barn structure. There would be several structures on the property, but the barn would be this particular structure. And what we're asking for in terms of approval is to have 2 structures on the property that are classified, or I guess I would say defined as principal structures. And the reason for that is the Culver zoning ordinance defines a dwelling or principal structure as having restroom facilities and or cooking facilities. And so what we've got here, we have a present a structure on the property now, which if you were out there and looked at it, it looks more like a garage. But it's down here in this area on the south side. Get my bearings right here.
Where it says clubhouse on.
Yeah, where it says clubhouse. And this structure exists right now, and it does have those facilities, and it's got a restroom in it. And so we're asking for a second structure on the property. And then we're also asking for a height variance for what looks like a silo, but is really basically an observation area for the kids. Well, it's going to have a circular stairway, and the kids are going to run up the observation area and look around the property and play around the property. If any of you have driven out there and been in the property, they've got a mini golf course in there now, and a real slick little bridge and an island, and that area is right in here. And that's going to stay, and that's all there now. So that's basically what we're looking at. The barn structure is here, and here again you have to understand where north is, but it's got what I call a silo, but it's really an observation area. It's in that area, and then it's got the rest of the building attached there too. The very top of the silo structure is 46 feet.
Now, Jim, you said, isn't that 10A right just to the north of that?
This is 20A right here.
I meant 28,
Yeah,
not
this is
10A.
28.
And this is the gate where you go in. There's gates there that are locked. That's this area right here. So
Okay,
that's going to be up close to 20A.
and that's got a big kind of a hill and trees, right?
Yeah,
Okay,
that's about where it's
Yeah.
at.
The
Okay,
trees
because when you
all-
said you couldn't see it from the road, I thought, well, that's road's right there.
Yeah, there's a lot of foliage right along. there,
Yeah.
Quite frankly. And there's a gate here, and there was a gate that was open here. I don't know whether it still is, but it was when I went in, you take a look at it. Basically, go that. So that's the first structure that we're looking to do. And probably in years to come, just so you know where we're coming from, probably we're going to be looking at what they're calling a field house down here on the south side. And that's basically going to be tennis courts, things like that. And they want to put in a deck in this area, which I don't think's a problem, but a deck in this area. And then they're going to put an observation tower in this area, just so that the kids will have things to bounce around the property on and basically have a good time. So that's going to be the overall plan. But for now, probably this year, we're basically looking at the plan.
Now, you said the present structure down there on the south part of the property,
Right.
they are living there now?
No, nobody lives there, but it's described under our zoning ordinance as a dwelling unit because dwelling is described under our zoning ordinance as having either cooking facilities and or restroom. It's got a restroom.
Only a restroom,
What?
only a restroom?
Yeah.
There's no cooking facilities.
Not at this point in time.
So this will be the, what are they calling it, the barn?
Yes.
That will be the residence, primary residence there
Well,
for them?
I don't know if anybody's ever gonna live there.
Oh, okay.
Yes, if they do, that's what it would be. If they have the properties on the lake.
Yeah, we have a copy of that.
Yeah, and basically this is ground floor, and as you can see, probably 80% of the building is storage for lake toys and lake equipment and things like that. But they are going to have a living unit. I think son-in-law wants to put an office in there so that he can go out to the office and get away from the family when he needs to and go that direction. So because of that, it's defined as, and you disagree with me if you wish, Chuck, but I think it's defined as a dwelling unit. Because
I
it's
disagree.
got those two things in it.
Not disagreeing on that.
Yeah,
And the second floor has some bedrooms?
yes, then here's your second floor. And basically, it's got bedrooms in this area right here.
Jim, I realized one thing, if we could we set that
Sure.
back over there so that people online are not able to see it,
Okay, put it wherever you want to put it.
just so that.
Okay.
And we can kind of show you guys.
Yeah.
That's okay.
And then this would be the second floor.
Is that better for you online? Right back to.
Okay. Whatever you want.
Jim, it looked like all the first floor, that's mostly offices and storage. And then, so the only living, there are the two bedrooms that you mentioned. There's the bathroom there and then the kitchen area.
Right.
So what about 900 square feet-ish?
Yes, the way I ran the numbers, and I did it myself, but it looked to me like of occupied space based on the ordinance, you've got about 1308 on the second floor, and then 1574 on the first floor. And I didn't count any of the storage for the garage, or anything like that. Because Chuck and I just had a discussion about that on another property. He said carports and garages don't count, so,
Not for livable space.
yeah, not for livable
We have
space.
951 square feet.
Right, and so we're significantly over the minimum, but that's kind of where we're at.
Is the intention for the clubhouse to remain as is?
Yes, for the immediate future, for the years, yeah. I think at some point in time, they may look at the field house and clubhouse in terms of what additional activities they can put in there for sports. But that's basically where they're at. And the clubhouse now is basically the garage area.
Is what, I'm sorry?
The garage area.
Okay.
Jim, on this, application on here on here, it shows that your height is 44.6.
Whatever it shows.
And you're asking for.
I was thinking it was 46.
That's to the top of the silo.
Right,
Right.
and it's showing 44.6 on this.
You're right, 44.6. I read the 6 wrong.
Oh, okay,
Yeah, 44.6.
so that would just change, just from typo.
Yeah.
We're asking for 44.6 then?
Yes, we are.
Barry, what's it recorded on the petition, just so that I can make sure I get it? It was originally stated as 40, what's the typo? This one?
44.6, yeah.
From,
From the ground up the side.
sorry, but it was from 46.
It's on.
The side.
Okay, got it.
44.6.
Yep. Thanks.
S1 after.
Yes, it is.
Jim, you listed hardships as large parcel not divided, non-standard size lot, and parcel topography and water features. So with the large parcel and having one dwelling, they technically could divide that up
Yes, we could.
and put but I know that they want it in a certain spot on the property, and if you divide it up to be able to get it, it probably wouldn't look right or be in the right spot.
We could technically divide it up. I had that conversation with Chuck, and, you know, it's been the town policy for many, many years where properties are owned under the same ownership. You don't want us breaking them up, you want us putting them back together. And so for that reason, and for the fact that we just don't intend to ever sell this as separate parcels, and I didn't want to give any illusion to the fact that we're subdividing or doing anything like that. We came in for the variance instead. And so the other hardship for me, for old people like me, I measured it's about 2/10 of a mile to the bathroom if you only have the one.
Are there limits on the number of accessory buildings?
No.
Not in that area.
Okay, the only thing that and I don't know if we can put a stipulation in it, is that the clubhouse not be made into I don't know if we can put it in something. Because when you say that there be two residential thing, as long as that doesn't change, I have no problem, because this seems like the primary thing.
Right.
But if we say it's okay, then they might take that and make a house out of it because we said it's okay.
When he's done, I need to address some things.
I'm sorry.
When he's finished, I need to address some
Okay.
things.
Okay.
I'm finished except for your question.
And I would like to, if we approve this, I would like to put a stipulation that not be changed from a garage to a living area. You know, the garage with the bathroom is one thing. But, you know.
Beds kind of make it. fit the bathroom. It's supposed to put anybody else in.
No.
You want to write, but I think Dan's asking about on the south side of the property. That's where you're asking about the
Right,
current.
the one that's there,
Structure,
the
right.
building, the
That-
building is there now.
That could technically be an
So
accessory
that's what's there
building.
now?
Right.
Okay.
And so your stipulation, Dan, is potentially to not change from a garage to become a more of a living area. Sorry.
Here's what I would like to add. Were any of you inside of this?
No.
No, I couldn't go in.
I've been in many times. I've worked on that, helped Mr. Nibby make it so that he could live there. Mr. Al Nibby lived in that building right there before he sold it. Okay? So to say that it's not a living space or you can't live in it is a misdirection. Okay? And it is my conclusion, we have a living space here, we have a second one to the north proposed, and it's not, I recommend that we don't approve because of that. We're going to be setting a precedent. I had 2 calls, one of them after I got home this evening about 4 o'clock, and another one on Tuesday while I was here, asking the same things. Can I put living space above my garage? Can we make that a separate apartment? Does come all the time to the town of Culver. Always. And to have 2 in this week goes to tell you that it is a hot topic. You know, we had people on State Street wanted to put a garage there and place where, you know, I can use for painting, but I need to have a restroom and I want to put a kitchenette in it and some living
It's an
space.
apartment, yeah, exactly.
And we had another one that was a little further out of town this week, but those questions come in all the time. So knowing that building as I do, having been inside of it, worked on it,
So the glass part there with the kind of decorative,
that's the entrance.
I mean, it's much bigger than I expected it to be.
Oh, this is huge. Those doors are, first door is overhead door is a 12-foot door. The others are 14s. You could drive a semi in them. That's why you made it that big.
Chuck, I remember back, I don't know, maybe a year and a half ago, we had the Hirschfield home, I think, on Academy Road. They wanted to put a living space in their garage. And we talked a lot about the comprehensive plan at that point. That was for an R1 zoned area. Is there any difference related, maybe Barry, this is a better question for you, any difference in the S1 zoned area and the comprehensive plan related to us really having a hard line on why a State Street or an Academy Road wouldn't have a second living dwelling on it? Is there any like nuance there of the zoning?
The comprehensive plan is actually a plan based on future, you know, as far as the focus on the future part, as far as development of the town, trying to set up everything as far as for the comprehensive plan. Our current comprehensive plan, and I'm assuming our next one, which is going to be done, it focuses more on the town and as it goes out. Actually, I mean, truthfully, but I don't think the comprehensive plan would be in as much objective to this, but with the ordinances of 2 primary structures on one property, it's something that we have really held tightly to because of the comprehensive plan. And I realize this could be further out for the S1, but I don't think, even though it's still not zoned, I think any compromise for a zoning at any distance, but it's within a 2-mile radius, would actually affect, if you want to call it, stair step down as far as comprehensive plan, it could affect it mildly now, maybe more later.
I understand why they want to do this. Beautiful property out there. Beautiful property. Do you go to the lake that's out there, the pond?
Yeah, by the golf
There-
course.
I mean, by the golf course. It's great fishing, huge fish in there. He's clocked it.
Oh, he's got 50, 60 pound best fish.
So, you know, I understand why they want to do it. I just don't think that this board should allow that. Go back to the rules where they're at, do what you have to do. One of the problems that they're going to come up with is because so many buildings and so many living spaces they want to put on there, if they keep dividing that up, they can divide the main property up 3 times. That's what they're going to run into and why they don't want to do it. One of the reasons that would stop them from doing it. But I say that we should hold our line and make them.
But you say they could only do it 3 times if they.
No, 3 parts.
3 parcels off of main.
For main subdivision. I mean, you can do maximum, you know, major.
That would be a minor subdivision. But if they wanted to go and put houses out there, then or more, then they could go for a major. And maybe that's the way they want to go.
that wasn't our intention at all, at least one. Our intention was
I know.
to stay private, to stay
Yeah.
under one parcel and
Yeah.
go that direction. We discussed the fact that, yes, we could subdivide it, but to be honest, that was kind of going against the grain of what Culver and Culver zoning didn't want to do. Because
Well, on
we
one
would end
side
up,
of it, yes, but
we would end up with it subdivided and under one ownership. And you come back and say, no, that's. not
right,
what
but
I
anytime that one structure was put on one, it was always pretty well persuaded that it would need to be subdivided for those two primary structures, anytime it's ever came before.
But I know what Mr. Easterday is alluding to, is that when we have someone come in for a building permit and they have two lots, they're gonna be close to we want them to combine those two lots.
Right.
We have a combination form that does that.
Different circumstances call for different things.
Right, and that's what we do because of the small lots. Would we want those? You know, I don't
Yeah.
think
I'd
that.
like to add, I mean, recently, I'm saying the last few months, we had where they had a accessory building on the lot. And they wanted to enlarge it, move it from the line, put an extra bedroom above it and a bath for the kids, for their grandkids or whatever it was. And because they have a large family, they wanted a place for them to stay when they came. But we didn't agree with it because it was enlarging and making it a second primary structure. And I feel like we didn't do that. And I know we set precedents, but we do look at every application in a different way as it's set. And myself, I really don't feel like I could look at go to two residents on the same property.
Oh, go ahead, Andrew.
Well, I have a question. If it's outside of this application purviews, then please let me know, but there is only a bathroom facility in there right now, correct?
Well, he says he's been in it. and-
People have lived there.
Well,
That was a primary
I
residence.
know, but I'm saying there's no kitchen set up right now or anything.
In this house?
Yes.
Oh, yeah.
Oh, yes.
Oh, there is?
I mean, it's a full house.
Oh,
I mean,
never mind.
you wouldn't walk in there and say, this has been fixed up so somebody can stay the night. You would look in there and say, somebody lives.
Somebody lives there.
And how is it?
Because they did live there.
How live there?
This board's always been open to some discussion. And so just to play the other side here a little bit from what I gather, some of us up here are thinking, because it's at 20A and significantly detached from the lake, significantly detached from State Street or Academy Road, that seems to be a unique circumstance. And when I was out there today, it is so secluded from the road and the way that you see it. Like if it seems like is it that big of a problem to be able to explain to another situation why this was a yes and maybe there a no, the two calls that you got tonight, maybe because it's such a unique property and a unique area of Culver, that it's worth saying yes to this so that these owners don't have to then do the three parcels or something else to get what they want. Because it seems like they have a grand plan for what's going to happen. And so I'm just trying to explore that side of it because it's unique and different than maybe what the two calls you were tonight. I understand about setting some precedent and making it hard for this board to say yes here and no there, and based on your example, Barry. But I guess I just want to make sure that before we go to some kind of vote or finding facts, that we at least talk a little bit more about that.
I have no idea if the owner would be willing to do this, but if they took it to simply a garage, got rid of the rest of that house part of it, and it took it back to a garage. I know you said that was added on. I know that's taking out a lot, but it's taking out the part that makes it a residence.
I would be willing to investigate that. I don't know.
I mean, if we took it back to a garage, then it's accessory building.
It
It's
says
not-
it wasn't something we were gonna do today. I didn't spend a lot of time talking about the ultimate plan for that. And I'd be glad to.
Because like you said, it was just a garage, but when I look at this is obviously more than just a garage.
In Canada, I've never been in it. I drove
Okay.
out there like the rest of you and looked at me like it had some massive doors on the garage.
And it does.
Well,
But
that was
the
to get his
other
RV,
side doesn't.
get his RVs in it.
So if they did subdivide, there'd be no issue with the plan.
I'm sorry, yeah.
You know,
True.
and I don't look at seclusion as a hardship.
Yeah.
You know,
Yeah, thanks. Yep.
you know, and I agree with what you say.
Yeah.
Love the property, maybe one of the greatest locations in Marshall County, unknown to everybody else, but because of what they're doing, I think they should hold to the ordinance as everybody else does. I don't think that will put a hardship on them. They're not gonna stop from building their second building or their third or whatever. And when someone says, well, you know, they'll sign an affidavit or, you know, they're gonna own it forever. Nobody lives that long.
Yeah.
And so what we're doing is kicking it down the road. So somebody else sitting here, after we're not here, gone, gonna be dealing with a similar situation.
A few years back, there was two primary structures built on East Shore. And it was not anybody here that did this, but by using a notary stating that they would never use that other house as a primary structure, then they could go ahead and build the property. And this was come before the plan commission. And you probably heard. You can drive by the lake, it doesn't look that bad. I mean, you're driving down the road. But I think this issue, like you're saying, you know, really, as far as you got 75 acres out there outside of town. I know this 53, I'm not trying to use it as an example. But I mean, you could build several houses out there just because it would be on.
Yeah, okay.
Right, see it. I mean, you know, I don't want to open a chapter that we may have to face. Like, that's just what, that's my opinion.
Just throwing out angles.
But if they were willing to take this to an accessory building, it would make, if they were to take the living portion out of this,
Yeah, yeah. I
then
mean,
that would be an
we're
accessory
talking
building.
about the
But that
issue right
isn't,
now.
that isn't what they come for us.
So I understand. I'm
But right now, as far as what they brought forward is just wanted to do that.
But if they did take it to that, they wouldn't have to ask for two structures. If they made it simply a garage, right? That would be assessed
But
with,
I think that we would need to,
they would only need the variance on height.
yeah,
that we need to verify.
yeah, and then we'd have to just look at the height.
We would have to verify what they've
Sure.
done or taken
Sure.
out there
I agree.
before we would even could go.
Anybody else have questions from the board? I need to open it up to the floor. Anybody have any questions or comments from the floor? How about online?
Anybody online? Comments? Mr. Mason? Comments? Kayla?
I'm with you on this, Chuck. I think you're opening this up for a lot of problems.
That's.
Russ, what's your address?
Board's place.
530 Forest Place, Culver.
Let's talk about the height issue, just for Mr. Easterday's sake. Because I think he feels kind of what way the board is leaning as far as with the second structure,
I think it is.
but there are two things asked for, and that's the height, and then we should probably at least giving some feelings from the board on that at this point. Comments, questions?
I mean, my only concern would be is if any of the neighboring properties had an issue with the height variance. It doesn't seem to me like it's going to impact anybody's view because of the foliage and because of the hill. But that would be the real major concern. I'd have that far removed from the town.
There's nobody here to
Yeah.
complain against it, so.
Well, possibly. We do have some, Mr. Sefcek is one of the adjoining properties. And since we haven't talked about the,
Myself, I know in the past, we have had a few conditions where they asked for it, and it was actually a silo with farming issues in this one. And I think it was allowed 45 feet on that, and it was on this. And I don't think that they would need it if we approve the height. I don't think it would be anything for special use for S1 or anything like that.
I'm sorry,
As far as for special use, I don't think that would be required for height on the silo. And it's actually recreational, it's not for anything like that.
We have nothing else like it in Marshall County and maybe any surrounding county
Yeah.
Not
in
this,
northern Indiana.
but we do have a silo that was.
Right,
put up.
we have farm silos. You can see them as you go down the road. They're usually blue and or white and sticking up in the air. That's what we have that's associated with farming. We have nothing that height that is associated with leisure or
No.
personal use.
No.
So,
But it was an S1. It was,
right, and
and I'm just.
as far as that
comparing the
goes,
S1 and S1.
as far as that goes, I'm neutral and would listen to what you guys have to say on that.
I mean, no one's gonna build an unsafe structure where kids are gonna play, but I'm gonna ask a question anyway. Are there any safety concerns with going that high with that kind of narrow of a?
No.
Perfect.
No, because they have to build its code anyway, so
Yeah.
footers and they would have to prepare plans. So no, there would be none there.
to give you some input, Mr. Easterday.
Yes, it does.
If you want to,
Move to table.
okay. We're going to table this till the next meeting and I'm going to make some, talk to the owner.
Architects.
I don't think we have problems with the building itself. It's the two residents. We possibly, like I said, to do something with the other one to make sure it's just a garage, but
Yeah, I mean, you've got at least two options.
If we could get access to that building before the next meeting, so everybody could just
Could look at it
take a
prior
look
to the
at it.
meeting.
Right.
We did it this time.
okay. Thank you, Mr. Easterday. We'll move on to petition 2021-028B, which was tabled from the October meeting.
And that should still stay tabled. They have not submitted a new application. There was talk that they were going to. I wanted to try to get it on here, but they have nothing,
So we have nothing to do.
nothing
No,
different than when
they
they withdrew it in October.
Okay,
So that's where we still stand, is withdrawing.
and nothing has been submitted, so we have,
No,
this is a moot point.
Right. Submitted.
Okay, then we're just going to move to old business at this point. This might be the shortest meeting in a long time.
I just had a quick question, Chuck, about Route 10, the garage that was going up on the north side, or like out north from Frida's. That's not finished yet.
Correct.
By the way, Jim, I do like those.
I sent an email to the building commissioner. He's not supposed to give them occupancy
Sure.
final completion until everything's done and we agree on it.
But he has 2 years, correct?
Yes.
Okay. I didn't know if we were closing on
That's
this.
Shemaleski. He is accumulating things outside, so we're keeping an eye on it. He did get one of the pontoons moved out of there, so I don't know whether he moved inside or gone, but
Right, there was 2 and now there's 1.
yeah, there were 2, now there's.
I did stop in there and there was nobody home. Thanks for coming, Jeff.
I know the town paid for tearing down part of the Boatsma
Yes.
building. Is any more going to be done with that, or?
Well, here's where we're at. We had a hearing today. What hearing was that, Jim? That was, he was questioning us having the authority to tear it down, Mr. Van Hoff was. He has a new attorney.
Oh, no, wait a minute, I'm talking about a different place.
He's talking about.
I'm talking about at the end of Jefferson.
Oh, the end of Jefferson. No, that right now is in front of the county unsafe board. They're making a determination on that.
Okay.
Because they took it first. We did get the old things cleaned up. Sorry.
But the Van Hoff thing, they're still fighting about that?
Yeah,
The one on college.
The one on College?
no, 415.
Oh, 415.
Yeah, so say the one on College is for sale.
415. I think.
He was challenging today and he went before the judge that we didn't have the right to tear it down because he didn't have time to have an administrative hearing, even though he didn't file. So it looks like we're good, but it's just another stumbling block. We have somebody that is planning on, I mean, they purchased the property. We have plans for what's going in there.
Oh, really?
Yes.
Oh,
Show you a few things you can rifle through the journal. That's the property. This is going to be 4 townhouses. This will be 3 townhouses. This is a golf cart garage. That's,
You so know that.
they're going before the plan commission as a PUD.
What is their? What's the commercial aspect of it?
The commercial aspect has been removed from. the
Has it?
Ordinance required.
Yeah.
Yeah.
2.5 story, 3 story?
2.5. I mean, I guess it would be,
Interesting.
yes, it's got the half, but the basement.
Yeah.
That other part is down there where the
I
asphalt.
think the
I guess
basement.
it comes down to.
This is where, this is where that asphalt stands. And this is to the south. This is the lake. Sorry.
Did they run into any environmental problems?
There was some remediation. They took the tanks out and there was some soil that was around the tanks that they had to remediate. And they did that through IDEM. So it's
So not much of a problem.
no, not nearly as much as it could have been
Yeah.
after that many years.
Yeah.
Yeah, very surprised.
But then if the tanks were empty, nobody knew whether they would or not.
Right, yeah, they
That's
were.
what there's concern was over.
There was probably anywhere from 10 to 14 inches in the bottom of the tanks. And they were like 5,000 gallon tanks, so there were a few hundred gallons left in there. But we don't know how high it was when it started
Yeah,
leaking
yeah.
or anything else, or whether they just overfilled it and it ran down the sides. We don't know any of that.
But it had.
But they're out of
There's
there.
surely been water coming in now.
But they took all of the contaminated soil out under supervision and it is clear and has a good to go on it right now.
Good.
They have the IDM report and everything on that as far as.
Yeah.
So.
And we're waiting, they need to pay, they have applied as a PUD. We're waiting for them to pay. And as soon as they pay, then it will go before the plan commission. Cost, you guys know what the cost of a PUD is? $1,500, just so you know.
That's pretty cheap.
Well, yeah, yes and no. Yes and no. I mean, I found that out. We've never had PUD in a long time here.
Sand Hill was the last.
Yeah.
Then we had Maple,
So,
which we dealt quite a bit with Tom Bessie over that
Right.
PUD. And it's actually still PUD, but it's not developed. PUD.
Any new business coming up?
like I said, we've got 3 cases that are going before the plan commission as far as subdivisions. As far as coming here, we would have Mr. Easterday.
Three different places that want to do subdivisions? Is that what
Yeah.
you're saying?
But it's less than 3 lots.
Okay,
3 lots or less is minor, so all of them are minors.
okay.
We had very few majors. Anyway,
So
I can't remember the last major, 20 years.
that's basically where we're at. This should be the only thing that you should hear again is Mr. Easterday next month.
Do you have anything else in your report?
Thank you.
Our next meeting is scheduled for February 17th. Any other items? Any other discussion?
Just so everybody knows that Mr. Hubler is going to be writing up
There you go.
minutes from the October meeting. We had a problem there in the fact that it was the first meeting we were doing it. I was here, hit record. Whatever happened, it didn't record,
And we didn't have our secretary.
and we didn't have Mr. Hubler here.
He was online, but
But if that ever comes up again, somebody gets to be named secretary for a night.
It's actually when Lee resigned and then I wasn't here on that October, so there was no one who was appointed in that.
Right.
Exactly.
I think
I was trying to pat you on the back, JD.
Oh, no, I,
I still will.
Yeah.
all good.
Okay, there's nothing else? Back to only 1/4%.
Watch those Hoosiers.
Before-